everyone, welcome to Schema Training channel. In this channel, we're going to see how we are going to find solution of this problem. So, before just you are going to solve any mathematical problem, you have to just identify the given information and the required information from the given problem. That's the first point. So, if you are a new member of my YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share Schema Training channel. So, let's come back to how we are going to find the solution of this problem. As you're familiar in our previous videos, today also we're going to apply the two languages, that's Amharic and English language, to explain and elaborate this problem in general. So, now let me try to read the problem. If the sum of the first three consecutive terms of an arithmetic progression is 9, and the sum of the squares of these three terms is exactly 35, then you are asked to determine what is the sum of the first n terms of this sequence in general. So now, what is the given information on this problem? The given information is the sum of the first three consecutive terms of the sequence is given. Assume that the first term for the sequence is A. You know that what a sequence is here to be arithmetic. በባለፉት ቪዲዮዎች ላይ እንዳያችሁት አንድ ሲኩዌንስ አርithmetic የሚባለው ምን ሲሆን ነው የሚለውን አይተናል። ስለዚህ ሲኩዌንሶች ጀነራሊ arithmetic የሚባሉት the common difference between the sum አንድ አይነት ሲሆን ነው። በተርሞች መካከል ያለው ልዩነት አንድ አይነት ከሆነ arithmetic ይባላሉ። ስለዚህ የመጀመሪያው ተርም a ነው ካልን ሁለተኛው ተርም a plus the common difference ይሆናል። ስለዚህ a plus d will be the second term. ሶስተኛው ተርም ደግሞ ምን ይሆናል ማለት ነው? a plus 2d ይሆናል። you know that ዚህኛው ላይ d ስንደምር ይሄን እናገኛለን ማለት ነው። because this is the sum of this and this ስለሆነ ስለዚህ ይሄና ይሄን ስንደምር you know that that's the sum. Sorry. ዚህኛው ላይ d ስንደምር ይሄን እናገኛለን። እዚህ ላይ d ስንደምር ይሄን እናገኛለን ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ እነኚህ we have these three consecutive terms of an arithmetic progression. So እነኚህን ምን እንላቸዋለን? የሲኩዌንሱ የመጀመሪያ three terms of the sequence ይባላሉ። ስለዚህ the other important information is the sum of a plus d plus a plus 2d is given, that is 9. So የመጀመሪያው ጊቭናችን ምንድነው? የነኚህ ድምር 9 ነው ተብለናል። a plus a will be 3a ይሆናል። d plus 2d will be 3d ይሆናል, which is exactly 9. So if you divide both sides by 3, now we have over 3 over 3 over 3. So now we have a plus d is exactly 3. So this is the first value. Therefore, now this implies that now a is given by 3 minus d. So now we have this information. And for the second case, what is given on the second case? We have this one. Now, የመጀመሪያው ስኩዌር ሲደመር የሁለተኛው ተርም ሲኩዌንስ ስኩዌር ፕላስ a plus 2d, the whole square is exactly 35. So this is the second given information. Now this is the second given information, and now this means that I think this is very trivial, because in place of a you can replace 3 minus d, and that is 3 minus d the whole square plus in place of a 3 minus d plus d the whole square plus in place of a 3 minus d plus 2d the whole square, that is 35. So እዚህ ጋር እንደምናየው ምንድነው ያደረኩት? በa ቦታ 3 minus d እንተካ ማለት ነው። in place of a I have already replaced 3 minus d. So as you see there, በኤ ላይ 3 ማይነስ ሲዘጋ ይሄ እናገኛለን ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ 3 ማይነስ the whole square አሁን 3 minus 3 the whole square ሲተነሰ ምን ይመጣል? 9 minus 6d plus d square ይሆናል because we are familiar how we are going to factorize any perfect square quadratic expression in general. So this is the result. Similarly, this means 3 the whole square because this is cancelled by d. Minus d plus d will be 0. So we have left only 3 square plus. Similarly, 3 plus d the whole square, that is 35 ይመጣል። እዚህ ጋር እንደምናየው ኔጌቲቭ d plus 2d ማለት that's exactly d ይሆናል። So 3 plus d the whole square ይሆናል። Maybe if it is not clear አሁን እዚህ ጋር ይሄ ግልጽ ካልሆነላችሁ ይሄ እንደዚህ ማሳየት ይቻላል። 3 minus d into 3 minus d ታደርጉታላችሁ። ስለዚህ ይሄ ማለት 3 ሲባዛ በ3 9 ይሆናል። 3 ሲባዛ በማይነስ d 3d ይሆናል። ማይነስ d times this minus 3d ይሆናል። ፕላስ ማይነስ d times minus d ፕላስ d square ይሆናል ማለት ይሄ ማለት 9 minus 6d ፕላስ d square አገኘን ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ይሄ ማለት as you see now 3 minus d the whole square mean 9 minus 6d plus d square ይሆናል ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ this is the way how we have just factorize this problem. So now this is exactly solved as 9 minus 6d plus d square plus 9 plus this is the same 9 plus 6d plus d square which is equal to 35. Now let's collect like terms together. That means if you collect like terms together, what's left in general? So you know that this is cancelled by this one. And what's left? 9 plus 9 plus 9, which is 27. Plus d plus d square is exactly 2d square, which is equal to 35. Then from this, 2d square is exactly 35 minus 27. And finally, 2d square is exactly 8. So this implies that as you know ይሄ የሚያሳየን ምንድነው? d square is exactly 4 because over 2 over 2. So d square will be 4. Finally for this problem will be d square is exactly 4 and d is plus or minus 2 ይመጣ ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ የዲ ዋጋ plus or minus ይሆናል ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ d plus or minus 2 ከሆነ if d is plus or minus 2, what are the 3 terms of the sequence? So in order to find the 3 terms of the sequence, first of all, we need to know what is a in general mean. What's the first term for the sequence? So to determine the first term for the sequence, now you can directly replace on this one. የመጀመሪያ ተርሙን determine ለማድረግ ምን እናደርጋለን? when d ሁለት የተለያየ ቫልዩ ስላለው d exactly ሁለት በሚሆንበት ጊዜ a ምን ይሆናል የሚለው መስራት ነው። a እኩል ይሆናል 3 minus d ነው። የdን ዋጋ ሁለት ስናደርግ በd ቦታ ሁለትን እንተካና a will be 3 ሲቀነስ d that is 3 ሲቀነስ 2 which is exactly ምን ይመጣል? 1 ይመጣል ማለት ነው። በd ቦታ ሁለትን ስንተካ similarly when d is exactly minus 2, so a will be 3 minus 2 that is 5 ይሆናል ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ የa ዋጋ ሁለት የተለያየ ቫልዩ አለው ማለት ነው። So from these what just we're going to conclude. Finally, we have two cases in order to determine the partial sum of this problem. That means in order to evaluate or in order to find the sum of the first n terms of the sequence, we have two different cases. We have two d, common difference d, and we have two arithmetic first term for an arithmetic the sequence. Correspondingly, if the value of the common difference between the term is this one, the result will be this. If the value for d is exactly this one, the result a is 5. So finally, let's come back on this one. So if d is minus 2, what are the 3 terms of the sequence? That is 5. Now 5 if you add this on this one, that is 3. If you add this d on this, that is 1 ይሆናል። ስለዚህ d minus a 5 በሚሆንበት ጊዜ the sum of the the 3 terms of the sequence will be this ይሆናል። ይሄን ብንደምረው ምን እናገኛለን? 9 እናገኛለን። ስኩዌራቸውን ብንደምር 5 ስኩዌር ፕላስ 3 ስኩዌር ፕላስ 1 ብናደርግ አሁንም ይሄ ምን ይመጣል? that is 35 ይሆናል። ስለዚህ correctly ይሄ this is correctly done. That means d ይሄ መሆን ይችላል ማለት ነው። Similarly, you can check whether this makes the given problem valid or not. In general, the value of d is this one, a is this one, and when d is this one, a is also 5. So both this problem will satisfy the given problem. But our question is, you are asked just to determine what is Sn of the sequence. This is the final solution. Have to be technical. So, if the sequence is absolutely arithmetic, as you know, for any arithmetic progression, the partial sum of an arithmetic progression is generally given by Sn is n over 2 into a1 plus an. But you know that we can describe an as the answer for any arithmetic progression is given by a1 plus into a1 plus d into n minus 1. We can use this formula. That means in place of an, we can just take this one. That means, or else we can find an and you can replace in place of n. That's value. But now this is I think better. So Sn will be what? N over 2 into a1 plus d into n minus 1. So we have this. That is Sn is exactly n over 2 into now to a1 plus d into n minus 1. So generally, whatever the value this a1 and d in general, assume that this a1 is a, because we assume that the first term for the sequence is a. So now let's just make this is a, let's just make this is a, and let's just make this a, and finally 2a plus d into n minus 1 will be general term for any partial sum for an arithmetic progression. But you are asked just to find what is the sum of the first n terms of this problem if the sum of three consecutive terms for an arithmetic progression is 9 and the sum of the squares of this term is 35. That's the question. So to find the result of this problem, we have two cases. Generally, this is the general partial sum for any arithmetic progression, whatever the common difference and whatever the first sum for any sequence, absolutely it might be. But finally, let's come back on the solution. Therefore, on the first case, let's come to if the value of d is exactly 2 and a corresponding a is exactly 1. So the partial sum for the sequence is generally given by n over 2 into a is already 1, 2 times 1 plus, and d is also 2 into n minus 1. So Sn is exactly n over 2 into 2 plus 2n minus 2, and this is exactly cancelled by this one. This is automatically n over 2 into 2n, and you can cancel 2 by 2, that's n squared. So now for this particular problem, እዚህ ጋር ልክ እንደምናየው ምንድነው የሚሆነው? የዚህ ሲኩዌንስ ፓርሻል ሰሙ በሁለት ኬዝ ማየት እንችላለን። የዚህ ሲኩዌንስ የመጀመሪያ ኤን ተርሞች ድምር ኤን ስኩዌር ይሆናል። ይሄ የሚሆነው ግን መቼ ነው ካልን ኮመን ዲፈረንሱ 2 ኤዋኑ 1 ከሆነ ወይም የመጀመሪያ የሲኩዌንሱ ተርም 1 ከሆነና በተርሞች መካከል ያለው ልዩነት that is 2 ከሆነ sum of the first n term for the sequence will be as you see given by, therefore nilna Sn is exactly n square ይሆናል። now ይሄ result obtain የሚሆነው መቼ ነው ካልን for this information ነው, for these two cases ነው። ስለዚህ n d 2 a 1 ከሆነ partial sum for this sequence will be n squared ይሆናል ማለት ነው። And let's see the second problem. Similarly, with similar procedure, if d is exactly minus 2 and if you the corresponding value for a is that is 5, so Sn is generally given by n over 2 into now a is 5, 2 times 5 plus minus 2 into n minus 1. So this is exactly n over 2 into 10 plus minus 2n plus 2, and this is finally n over 2 into 10 plus 2, that is 12 minus 2n. So if you divide both sides by these 2n into 6 minus n, so finally Sn is exactly 6n minus n squared. You see, now for this particular problem, we have just obtained two different partial sum. But if the general term for the sequence, that means if the general term for the sequence means that if an is absolutely positive, means that if the sequence an is increasing, the common difference has to be this one, because common difference has to be positive. That means for any arithmetic progression, if the general term for the sequence is absolutely positive, means that common difference between the term has to be positive. If that is so, now our answer will be given by this one. That is Sn will be n squared. So you may be asked how to determine the sum of the first 100, 2000, or in general, whatever it is. Now Sn will be this one. This is possible if n sum for the sequence an is greater than 0. Otherwise, both will be possible solution if there is no restriction of the general or n sum for the sequence as you see is provided. So ለማጠቃለል ያክል አሁን ይሄንን ጀነራላይዝ ስናደርገው ምንድነው እዚህ ጋር የምናየው የትኛውንም arithmetic sequence partial sum ስንፈልግ the partial sum for any arithmetic sequence እንዳየነው n over 2 into 2a plus d into n minus 1 ይሆናል ብለናል። ነገር ግን የሲኩዌንሱ ሁለት አይነት arithmetic sequence አለ፣ increasing እና decreasing። ሌላው ኮንስታንት ከሆነ ደግሞ neither increasing nor decreasing እንለዋለን ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ we have three different kinds of arithmetic sequence: arithmetic increasing, arithmetic decreasing, arithmetic neither increasing nor decreasing። ይሄ ማለት ሲኩዌንሱ ኮንስታንት ነው ማለት ኮመን ዲፈረንሱ ዜሮ ማለት ነው። ሲኩዌንሱ ኢንክሪዚንግ ነው ማለት ኮመን ዲፈረንሱ ፖዚቲቭ ነው ማለት ነው። ሲኩዌንሱ ዲክሪዚንግ ነው ማለት ኮመን ዲፈረንሱ ማይነስ ወይም ኔጌቲቭ ይሆናል ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ልክ እንደዚህ የትኛውም arithmetic sequence common difference between the term negative ከሆነ for this particular example partial sum for the sequence ይሄ ይሆናል ማለት ነው። for this example ለዚህ example partial sum እንደዚህ ይሆናል። ፖዚቲቭ ከሆነ ደግሞ ወይም increasing arithmetic sequence ከሆነ partial sumማችን ይሄ ይሆናል። ነገር ግን as you see the problem there is no restriction። ስለዚህ Sn ናችን ይሄ ወይም ይሄ ይሆናል ማለት ነው። እዛ ጋር ግን እንደዚህ አድርጌ ባስቀምጠው that means if an is greater than 0 ብዬ ካስቀመጥኩት ሲኩዌንሱ ኢንክሪዚንግ ነው። ስለዚህ ኮመን ዲፈረንስ ሁለት አይነት ኦፕሽን አይኖረንም። ፈርስት ተርም ሁለት አይነት ኦፕሽን አይኖረንም። ስለዚህ ኮመን ዲፈረንሱ ፖዚቲቭ የሆነ ቫልዩ ይሆናል። for this positive value our sum of the first n term will be n squared ይሆናል ማለት ነው። So this is the final solution of the given problem. Therefore, if you have any doubt, any question regarding to this, you are welcome. ስለዚህ በመጨረሻ ማለት የምፈልገው ምንድነው ምናልባት ግልጽ ያልሆነላችሁ ነገር ካለ just ጥያቄዎቻችሁን በኮሜንት ስር ማስቀመጥ ትችላላችሁ። ለዛሬ ጨርሻለሁ። እስካሁን ስለተከታተላችሁኝ ከልብ አመሰግናለሁ። Thank you for watching. Bye bye.